A Wisconsin man is out almost $10,000 plus all of his belongings after trusting a company to help him make the move to Florida.
And consumer advocates we spoke with say this could happen to you or anyone. Our Leah Linscheid has this call for action report tonight.
I'm a Wisconsin guy through and through.
It's a move Chris Bauman never expected to make.
It was a fresh start I think our entire family needed.
But family circumstances sent his family packing in favor of Florida. Fast forward 3 months, though, 87 days to be exact, and Chris's move isn't over. His Panama City beach house is empty. When Chris first researched moving companies to deliver his family's belongings the 1,000 miles south, he went with Titan Moving and Storage, based in Virginia, with a spotless record in online reviews.
My wife and I even looked at each other, I remember at one point in the call, and said, "This sounds really good."
When the moving truck showed up to his Lake Mills home, though, the company's estimate suddenly doubled.
My price, and they discounted it, still ended up at $12,000. The original estimate, $6,270.
Chris had to pay $9,000 of that up front, but Titan wouldn't take a credit card. Instead, he had to wire transfer the money.
So we agreed to it. Never in my wildest dreams did I still really think I was somebody that's going to steal our property.
Then, after weeks of waiting and back and forth calls and what Chris considers delay tactics, Chris's family is still without their stuff, upwards of $100,000 of sometimes priceless belongings.
Thank you for choosing Titan Moving and Storage.
I am calling on behalf of one of your customers who has not yet received his belongings.
When we tried to call Titan, they refused to give us any information about Chris's case.
This is a form of holding your belongings hostage.
These companies can fool people like Chris by copying someone else's identity.
They will try and hijack those reputable names to give themselves credibility.
There were red flags. There were red flags.
What are some of those red flags that you should catch if you ever consider a move? We asked the folks over at DACAP for their advice.
If they won't come and actually view your belongings to give you a written estimate of what it'll cost to move, they'll just quote it over the phone based on a conversation. That is one initial red flag.
Chris talked to salesmen on the phone who then changed their tune when they showed up.
Do they show up with a legitimate truck that they own, or do they show up with a rental vehicle such as one that anyone would move apartment to apartment in the same city?
Chris says in his case, it was the latter.
Being in a Penske truck, that should have been a red flag right there.
Maybe the most logical piece of advice?
Checking out their website. That may or may not help you in doing some of that research up front. Do they have a legitimate presence, a real office?
If you're moving across state lines, check to make sure the company's registered with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and check the address of the institution to see if it's even real. Here's a look at the address Titan gave Chris. It's an empty building.
When you've been victimized and you feel the pain of it, you want to become an advocate to make sure this doesn't happen to other people.
Chris isn't sure talking to us will get this company moving to get him back his stuff, but maybe it will warn the next family.
Had I seen stories like this over and over and paid attention to them and heard them, when this move came, I would not have made these mistakes. I would have trusted my instincts.
In Madison, I'm Leah Linscheid with WISC News 3.
Leah will keep trying, and Chris, we appreciate you sharing your story. He says the latest he has heard from this Titan is that his stuff is in a storage garage somewhere in Indianapolis.
The company, though, won't give him that address.